Hello everybody, I'm Nick, and in this video I'm going to explain what Azure Service Bus is and where you might need to use it in your infrastructure and in your application's workflow. So I'm going to explain this very simply and easily so anybody can understand it. You don't have to have previous knowledge with the subject to actually understand it, and I'm going to explain it with an example. Before I do that, I want to remind you that this video is part of my Azure series, so if you don't want to miss any episode, please subscribe and ring the same notification bell to get notified when I upload a new video. So very easily put, Azure Service Bus is a way to say that I have something here and I'm going to put it somewhere, and eventually somebody will know about it on the other side. So it's effectively a message broker. However, this communication here is an asynchronous process, and that's the idea that we're going to leverage. What's very important is that the moment we actually publish on this end, the messages that we publish in here are very durable, which means that there is seemingly very close to zero chance of once getting in here actually losing messages. They will either go to something that we call the dead letter queue, and I'm going to explain what that is in a second, or they will be consumed by the application. So let me explain this with an example. So let's say I have Nick here. This is me, and Nick wants to book flight tickets because they're very cheap now. And what I would normally do in a old monolithic approach would be that our application is the web here, and it also has the ordering service internally, potentially payment calls, all that is within this application. However, the problem that we have here, and you might remember it if you're older, is that sometimes if you call a very old flight service to do this operation, it can take 2 minutes to actually complete the whole transaction. And you're just there waiting saying, oh, please hold on, we're actually processing your payment, or we're processing your order. This is a very old and bad user experience, and it also has this issue of you waiting here for so many things to happen. So many things can go wrong. Let's see a different approach. Instead of having a monolith, Nick will say, I want to book these flights from the web interface. And then the web interface will do a bunch of calls. One of them would be, it will validate my payment information in the payment service. And then it will actually call the booking or orders API to do the ordering itself. Now, the problem is that we don't actually need to wait for this orders API to process our order. This would again have the same user experience issue, but we just moved the ordering from within the application externally. The actual booking, final booking and confirmation of the order can be an asynchronous process. This is where the enterprise grade Azure Service Bus comes in the picture. Our workflow now looks like this. The web API is calling the booking API or the orders API, and then that API is calling the payments API to make sure that the credentials are correct and that the card actually has enough funds to process the payment, but it doesn't actually process the whole thing. It's just an auth request. And then once that comes back, the booking service, the booking API, will publish what we call a message in Azure Service Bus. And then this message will be published to either a queue or a topic, and I'm going to explain what each one of them means. And eventually, another service, let's say the orders processing service, which is not an API, it's just a .exe that consumes that Azure Service Bus. It will pick up the message, and then it will do all the necessary calls to see potentially the seats API to verify the seats, and some other stuff like has somebody else booked the same thing cheaper, or I don't know. There's so many calls that can happen here to other services. So that is the cutoff point where we just publish the message, and then the whole thing happens asynchronously. Now, from a workflow standpoint, once the payment checks out, the booking API will return to the web an OK that, hey, we got it, we started the process, and you usually see it as a confirmation, but it's not like a concrete confirmation, it's just we're working on it. What's happening in reality behind the scene is this whole process here, the second part. And eventually, when everything is completed, you will notice that you are gonna probably get an email sent to you that actually has all the details. And this is where we 100% process the whole thing. And this is great for multiple reasons. If anything fails in the order processing, it will actually be retried from the queue because the message will go back to the queue and then republished. So as long as your calls are idempotent, you will actually not lose anything in the whole processing. And if it fails completely, it will end up in the dead letter queue. And I'm going to explain what that is, but that's one of the features of Azure Service Bus. Before I dive into the specific features, I want to explain the structure. And we have two types of entities really in Azure Service Bus. We have the queues and we have the topics, which also have under them subscriptions. And let's start from the queues because I think the queues are simpler to explain. Queues follow a FIFO approach where FIFO means first in, first out, where from point 1, you publish something into the queue and it goes to point 2, the consumer. But the consumer is only one type of application. That means that in our example, if you have the orders processing application, if for some reason you had like an analytics or some payment fraudulent thing that you might have another service, completely different type of service, they cannot listen to the same queue because they would take that message and the actual service that needs it wouldn't actually be able to use it. So the one service itself, let's say the order processing, can scale out and have many instances of itself listening to the same queue, but you cannot have other types of services listening to the same queue because you will lose that messages to the other service. So you shouldn't really be having other things listening to it. And this is where the topic comes in. In the topics, people are actually publishing into the topic, which is a top level thing. And then the topics can actually have subscriptions, and the message published into the topic will be sent to each subscription that's listening to it. So again, in my example, if I publish that message once in the topic will send it to the processing service, to the metric service, to the risk service. I don't know, there's so many you can have here, but it will be processed and sent to anyone listening to that topic using a subscription. Now you might say that one of these services, let's say the risk service, doesn't need all of the events, but some of them. What you can do is you can use filters, and filters can actually be things like listening to specific headers, and only then the topic will send it to that filtered subscription. Now, staying on that example, let me explain a different thing, because now you probably understand that we asynchronously processing something that doesn't need to be processed synchronously, and we're decoupling our applications this way. But let me show you this. Let's say you have this graph here, which shows some variable load, and this would be the load of the API, the orders API. And like I said before, we have the processing. Now, the processing service doesn't actually have to keep up to that rate. In fact, Azure Service Bus, if it's here, it can allow us to load level our applications, because it's processing in a constant rate and the messages will actually stay in the queue while this application is processing. So you're not actually bound to scale up your service as much as you need your API that originally pushes into Azure Service Bus. And load leveling is another way for why you would use this. In terms of protocols, like what does it look like? Well, usually it's basically just JSON strings with headers and stuff that you can use like correlation IDs and stuff like that. But primarily it's just a JSON object. It's a contract as well. So the publisher and the consumer need to sort of agree on how that will look like. And in the queue model, that is point to point, that's easy, but having a topic, which is the pub sub model, it would be hard to communicate contract negotiations and changes because you have more consumers, but just something you need to consider. Now, in terms of protocols, like I said before, which is the original thing I want to talk about, you have two options. You have the AMQP protocol, which is also the default protocol. And this is the most standardized way to actually use Azure Service Bus. It's also the default in the SDK as well. So you're going to most likely use that. But it is also supporting HTTP HTTP, and you would usually use that if you have some firewall rules that doesn't allow you to use AMQP. Like 99 times out of 100 you probably use AMQP anyway. I've never actually used HTTP, so just something else to know. So last but not least, I want to talk about the features and what actually makes an enterprise grade service bus possible. The first and foremost is dead lettering, and the idea of dead lettering is that if you publish something into the queue and the processor actually fails to proceed for one reason or another, it will actually go back into a separate queue here, and we call that the dead letter queue. And the dead letter queue, all it really is just another queue that will stay there for as long as you tell it to. And it gives you the ability to either replay those messages if you found a bug or something, so you don't actually lose anything, or you can just manually go in here and see what they look like to debug and see why they failed. So dead lettering is a very important one. The other one, I already mentioned it, but I want to mention it again, is subscription filtering. Whenever you're using the topic pub sub approach, if one of your consumers doesn't need to listen to that, you can have a filter here saying send me messages only of type charge void for some reason, and you don't actually have to process and waste resources processing things you don't actually care about. So this is also great. Another thing is message sessions. And what are message sessions? Message sessions allow you to say that this group of messages, I want them to be processed into the same session essentially as a group, as one thing. And you can actually do that. And I think there's also ordering within a session. Another thing that I personally love, because I use it for scheduling, well, it's message scheduling. This means that you can push a message into the queue and you can tell it, hey, I don't want this to be consumed now. Nobody touches this until this very specific date. And then the message will actually be consumed by the application. So it's like it doesn't even exist. It's not visible to the consuming application until the date actually hits. Another great feature is duplicate message detection. In scenarios where applications just spam a lot of messages in the queue and you might have an issue with a race condition with a thing that's being published twice, it's actually smart enough to understand that these two messages actually are the same message and not even notify anybody about the duplicate. So this is another great feature. And last but not least, TTL, or time to live, for messages allows you to say that I'm going to publish this message into the queue, but if by today 12 a.m. it's not published, then don't do anything with it, just delete it. I don't care about it anymore. Those are all the basics I want to talk about. This should cover everything that you should know to get started with Azure Service Bus. You can find the link in the description down below, detailed documentation about anything that I talked about in this video. Special thanks to my GitHub sponsors for making these videos possible. If you want to support me as well, you're going to find the link in the description down below. Leave a like if you like this video, subscribe for more content like this, and ring the bell as well to get notified when I upload a new video, and I'll see you in the next episode. Keep coding.